Hey there, berries. Welcome to Evercore's Heroes Ascension. Now, you may have heard me playing this game before. A long time ago, there was a game called Evercore Heroes that they were working out in kind of early access, but they decided to scrap the game. I think the game was originally meant to be, I think it was 4 teams of 3 or 4 teams of 4. I can't quite remember the exact number, and it was meant to be a PvE BP kind of game without really much emphasis on battling other players, but it was meant to be like a race, a competition versus the teams in order to basically who could kill the boss at the end the kind of the quickest. So that's basically like the rundown gist of it. For whatever reason, they decided to scrap that and decided to make a co-op up to 3-player game. Now, unfortunately, there aren't that many people playing the demo right now, so I'm going to be trying to play this as solo, but if I do move my camera, we can probably find a slightly better position here for my camera. We'll put ourselves up here. From what I understand, it's kind of like a roguelike-esque game now, where, as I mentioned before, you're kind of meant to be playing this cooperatively. You have abilities. We're going to be using controller. We're going to use my Xbox gamepad for this. And we have different abilities. We've got like a little dash here, there. We have some sort of heal, some sort of AoE ability there too, and some sort of dash. And it seems like we might be able to get some sort of ultimate a little bit later on. And our auto attack is on my X. So this is quite bare bones at the moment, but all the assets are recognizable if you did play Evercore Heroes. Like the character I'm playing right now was a character I believe was called Lotus, and the abilities that she actually has is very similar to the abilities that she had in that game. So they've crossed over assets and gameplay from a game they've essentially scrapped and brought it over into this. That used to be also more like kind of top down, kind of like a League of Legends, Dota kind of esque kind of feeling to it, whereas this is more like over the shoulder almost kind of camera point of view down. I have played the demo a little while ago, but that was maybe potentially like a year ago. So you can do all sorts of like wish listing to try and get access to the game. And invite other people, and there's target dummies I believe in here as well, where you can practice using some of your abilities on. As mentioned before, all of these characters that you can speak to were actually playable characters in the other game, in Evercore Heroes.
My research continues.
So yeah, Sky was a playable character, and there's some little chat logs here between them. Asking for Evercore fragments, little bits of lore here. I've somehow got stuck into the same dialogue twice already. Some minor little bugs going through here. We're going to interact with this, and this is going to start matchmaking. They do have the co-op matchmaking, or they do have a solo mode, so we'll be playing the solo mode. And we're going to be traveling to the region of Crew, where there is one area that we are able to visit, which is the Stormspire Summit. So we're going to go over and head over into the Stormspire Summit. 2 on difficulty. We'll see if we can manage it. Dong noise. Also, the cursor at the top left hand corner I can't actually get rid of. Even though I'm playing on a gamepad, if I try and like move this off of the monitor, as soon as I press on the movement, it just snaps it to the top left hand corner there. So actually I'm going to have to move my camera again, because where my camera is placed there are lots of hexagons there, and I'm not sure what they stand for at the moment. Looks like there's potentially some sort of passive potentially things there, not exactly sure. We do apparently have an inventory that we can look at, so that is our actual inventory of items and things that we are going to be accumulating and getting. Above that we can see we've got stats. We have a sword, a shield, something that looks like a magic hat, something that looks like regeneration, Maybe that's attack speed below that. I'm not sure what the little flash symbol is there. And I'm assuming that's movement speed. So if we talk to some of these NPCs, there's NPCs here. We can trying to tell us how we can play the game and how we advance the characters. These squares here you would think are clickable, but they're not. They're just very vague descriptions of what you can do. So you can master your hero's unique skills, conquer, build, and power up, and progress and defeat an epic boss to win. So at the end of this run, I'm assuming we're going to be trying to defeat an epic boss. So the storm speaks, and what it says chills even me. Cryos Thrashclaw has awakened. So I think that was that troll that we saw, and that was a boss in the previous Evercore Heroes game. Height. Atop the summit, he's forged the glacier into his throne, and he guards something powerful, a stolen Evercore fragment. These tundra ruins before us used to be sacred ground. Now they're twisted by corrupted loom and shattered by relentless storms. We have to fight through what's left of it to reach the base camp. The notice says, then I'll carve a path through the ruin and ice. No storm, no monster, no mountain will keep me from that fragment. Cryos Thrashclaw falls today. Push forward, Lotus. Every step up this mountain is a strike against the storm. I'm assuming that's like the voice of the character is that little dinging noise. We can smash these barrels here. Contains something green inside. I'm not sure if that's like meant to be healing. And there's like a blue one, maybe that was meant to be for mana there as well, I'm not entirely sure. And then here we have a... So what you have to do is you stand on one of those circles for a few seconds and then the game loads in. If you had 3 people, I think you need all 3 of them to stand on that for you to go progress through to the next level. So here we're trying to use our little dash ability there. That white bar under the enemy was seemingly some sort of attack wind up. It's kind of stunned itself there. So we have a mission here to kill 2 enemies. Let's get used to the controls here a little bit. We're going to do RB, so that's give me a speed of light, which I think may have potentially healed me, not sure. The only damaging ability we have apart from auto attack is that RT, the right trigger, that dash attack. So we killed the 2 enemies, and now we're going to get to choose a buff for our adventure. You're not taking any damage for 15 seconds, the next damage you take will be reduced by 25. When you dash, you gain temporary overshield for 3 seconds. These are all very defensive things that are here now. After taking damage, gain 30% of that damage immediately as temporary overshield. Let's go for diamond cells. Let's make it so that the next time we take damage, it doesn't do as much. Assuming that we haven't taken damage. Then we can see on the right hand side, you can see that's like the passive that we've now taken. So that's like a level 1. So I'm assuming that the symbols on the altar that we're standing on are meant to represent what kind of zone we're going into. So this time it's a conquest and we need to defeat 9 enemies. And we're kind of getting a little bit beat down here. Took a little bit of damage. So my LB is a heal. The things in those barrels are mana regeneration. Doesn't seem like you can necessarily regenerate mana passively. No, there is some passive mana regeneration. Okay. So we can kind of heal ourselves up a lot here. That was a lot of damage there. This is slowly falling down. That animation there to dodge, I guess I need to use my actual dash to dodge out of that quicker. Bear in mind there's quite a long cooldown from being able to dodge again. So this RB is a big heal. Okay. Actually, if we press this, apparently we do have some hero information here. So, Lotus healing abilities grants allies a seed of light. Anyone with a seed of light is healed for 1 second. So that's like the little star icons up in next under my health bar when we've healed ourselves. The RB is a heal. LB is also another heal, and then heroes with a seed of light are healed when you land basic attacks. Gives you self. Okay, so it gives everyone around me a heal. So this would be more beneficial if I was actually playing with other people. So my right trigger, that dash that I'm doing, deals skill damage to all enemies in range. This will also heal allies with a seed of light. So lots of extra like ally healing, or if people have a seed. So this Y is a royal blessing, grants yourself and all allies a seed of light. There seems to be a lot of things focusing on like a group play. So maybe the character I've taken here is not the best necessarily for solo play, but we'll see if we can make it work. I guess I don't want to be charging into those attacks when they're already swirling. Lots of things to dodge here. I guess we can give ourselves a little heal. Taking a lot of damage, and we're just kind of slowed also. Oh, that's now teleported over the wall. So there isn't really like a major cooldown at all on the heal itself. So we can kind of spam that until we run out of mana if we really need to. So we're still looking for a few more enemies to fight here. There's a group of 3 right here. I feel like I could probably just, I was going to say, probably just Zerg rush these down, but maybe not quite like that. That's when they're spinning around. Drop 10 explosive blossoms every 45 seconds. Running over a blossom causes it to detonate every 45 seconds though? That sounds like such a long time. When you take damage, you apply 1 stack of poison to your attacker. Hitting an enemy with a skill applies poison. I think we'll take the poison thorns. I feel like we're going to be taking a lot of damage, but I feel like we're also going to be able to heal through the damage potentially here as well. There also seems like there's absolutely no base health regeneration, so all the healing that you're going to get is from heals rather than natural healing. Interesting to see if I get healed up if I go through to the next level. No, I don't. Okay. We're in another conquest level. That one's spinning around. Let's give ourselves a heal. Get some barrels here for some mana. Let's try and deal with the ranged ones that are in the way here before we deal with the big guy. I already see that there's more than one kind of like altar up. So we're gonna get a choice of where we want to go. So that one melee one is poisoned because it hit me with that passive that we picked up. And this big guy's poisoned as well. How much does poison do? 20 damage per tick, not a massive amount. Might prevent them from being healed though. It might be an additional debuff. Yeah, so if a mob is poisoned, it seems like they have healing reduction on them as well. So that could be pretty useful potentially later on. We've got a couple here. Increases the damage of my searing slash, which is my dash, which maybe is not my actual dash by 35%. I feel like damage is probably going to be the main issue I'm going to have with this character since we're heavily focused on, we got lots of healing abilities. So here we have money as one route, which apparently we have 100 gold of at the moment, or we could go for another conquest. Now, I've not seen any shops yet. I will say though, there are a lot of resources in these barrels. And if I was a bit lazy and I walked past that barrel, I wouldn't have picked up 25 gold, which I don't know if 25 gold is a lot. But it increased my gold value in my bags from 100 to 125, which is a significant percentage proportion. So I don't know how I feel like having to make sure I clear every single barrel in a level that I've just completed in order to get money, for example. The health and resource I can kind of understand, but... Okay, so here we have to defeat as many as we can in 1 minute. The more enemies we kill, the more money we get. This is actually also an event in the base Evercore Heroes game. Yeah, my slash is definitely doing a lot more. Trying to kill as many as we can. If we can maybe kill the big guy, maybe that will give us even more golds. Taking a lot of damage here. My mana is starting to go. We just picked up a lot there. 10 seconds to go. Let's try and get a couple of kills in before the timer runs out. It's another bit of gold there. Right, everything should in theory despawn. So 560 gold. So we've gone up from 125 to 560. Which feels like a significant portion increase. Yeah, now we're having to kill or destroy all of these other barrels in order to make sure we don't miss out on anything. As someone who has played the original Evercores, it is nice to see them use the functionality of the things that they did incorporate in the previous game that they decided to scrap. There's a red emblem there, and then there's this blue one. I think this blue one might be item based because it's what looks like one of those hexagons. The red one I'm assuming is some sort of fighting one. So let's go grab another passive. It's the first time we've had a bit of loading screen there. A lot of barrels here at the start. Let's not necessarily destroy the barrels until we're sure that we don't need the resources. I'm not sure why this wolf is perplexed. This poison isn't really doing as much now, but I guess it's handy to know that if the enemy can self-heal, then maybe we won't have as many issues with that. I just popped my ultimate and I seem to have like a little yellow extra overshield. That helped us kill that big guy a little bit quicker. Could have been useful to use that against the golden horn event in the previous level. One wolf here. Grab some more of these resources. And then we got 10 something or other. I'm not sure what that is. Some sort of currency. Maybe it's currency that's used outside to get permanent buffs potentially for your characters. Not sure, just making a little guess there. So let's not go to the left hand side, let's go and do this thing that looks like an alien with a bullet hole in its forehead. More barrels at the start. And we've got some rolling mobs here. Man, my auto attack damage though is really poor. It's lucky that we did get that. I'm gonna pop my ultimate here. So it's lucky that we did get the dash increased. Otherwise, my damage would be really, really, really bad. I would feel like. Levels feel very samey. Nothing too crazy going on. We've been through like what 4 or 5 stages right now, and we've We've seen, you know, just saw some rollers for the first time, which are kind of new, but nothing too crazy or exciting. Your basics attack will now apply 1 stack of poison to enemies. Or we can get more attack speed. Sure, let's just go like a full poison build. Maybe there's something interesting we can do by having lots of poisons. Don't know what this purple fist thing is. Let's go find out what a purple fist is. Still haven't really found a shop or anything to spend our money. And I really don't want to go around the level and start bashing in barrels for just like getting scraps of gold as well. Okay, so we seem to have some sort of... Whoa. Those big rocks jump into bigger rocks. Doesn't appear to be any sound effects though for the actual... That's not good. Yeah, this guy hurts. And also I think I've noticed that the poison cap is 5. Might extend that attack there. Seems like I'm gonna have to save my dash for that attack. Oh, he attacks really fast. Well, it's poisoned. I'm already running quite low on resources, so like soon we're gonna run out of barrels. This shield replenishes if you don't damage it. Well, I think we're in a little bit of trouble. Because I can't stay, because that attack there is near instant. So you take basically guaranteed damage there. We got a couple of rewards there. Maybe it was a skill issue. Maybe this hero here isn't a very good hero for playing solo. Let's see if we can potentially change our character up here. So let's see what this menu is here. So we've got a couple of things locked here, so you can get things like recovering health going into the next room. Yeah, and that's so you need a key and some of those hexagon currency that we got 10 of in order to be able to permanently increase the stats on our character.
And in this corner.
Let's go through this dialogue here just to see if we
Now I'm really fired up.
if we can
Now I'm really fired up.
change characters.
Ha, never met a princess who can fight.
I mean, I've got the option to select this hero, but I haven't got an option. Oh, and now I have an option to try out some of these other characters. So these 3 here are locked via some currency. We did get some of the currency via completing the level. Maybe let's do like Cinder. He looks
Burn
like
it all
a
down and look good doing it.
do some considerable more damage, and he looks like he would be sort of ranged at least. So we would be able to kite that big guy a bit more. Let's jump into this. Is that the only one we can do? Yes, so I think the only level we can do right now that's unlocked for the it's just this one map for the demo. So we'll see if we can try and get past the big dude. That's a really annoying sound going into a level. Alright, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can improve on our run a little bit more than last time. Okay, took a little while there for it to kind of work, the altar.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to be learning how to use my buttons at the moment. So the other one, like when playing Lotus, I was going to say, so when you have aggro, you get that kind of auto target on. Okay, with Cinder, it definitely feels better in terms of being able to attack. The downside is, though, I'm kind of curious. figure out how we're going to be able to heal ourselves. Max Loom increase. Increases the damage of Cinder's spell bomb by 35%. Sure, that seems like a decent increase. So that's my RB. We're not really used that yet.
Yeah.
So a bit of delay, but it's going to do some considerable damage. But yeah, apart from that, one of his passives was like when you start a new run, when you go through one of these altars, you get a bit of health back. We have no way of giving ourselves HP when we're playing solo. So if we were playing with a Lotus, we would be able to get healed. But playing solo... unfortunately, we're not going to get any of that. There seems to be some food that we can potentially eat with the directional up button. So I guess when we get a bit more desperate, we're going to have to rely on that in order to be able to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a massive fan on the targeting on the bomb that I've got upgraded, because it doesn't auto kind of target a mob that is aggro to you, unlike some of the line abilities. Yeah, that time it did, it just didn't auto target on the bigger guy for some reason. No. So you're already just down to half HP.
Yeah.
Definitely having to utilize the dodge to try and preserve as much health as possible, because every health now counts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we received one of those keys, which is one of those kind of like permanent upgrades. Yeah, so all of these things in these barrels, these glowing things, are just like mana, like is this loom regeneration. So this level here is going to be kill as many things as you can, I guess, in a minute. But we never actually saw a shop in the previous run, so I wonder at what stage we'll actually get to. I'll make one small mistake and then that's already most of my health gone. Now my auto targeting is trying to attack barrels instead of the monsters. It's quite deadly. Let's use my ultimate, which seems to be giving me some sort of aura. I'm assuming my damage is increased. I might die shortly. I just had to use food as well there. I don't think we're going to get to kill that last one, are we? Not quite. We didn't do as well as when we were playing Lotus. I think when we were playing Lotus I got 600 odd gold. I'm gonna have to eat my food, so I've got no more food on me either here. So I'm kind of just smashing these barrels now and hoping to see gold, but I haven't seen a shop yet, so no idea what we'll actually be able to buy. There's some more gold coins there. So this is like currency again for outside of the levels to permanently increase, give ourselves buffs. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the amount of barrels to break in. I want to be killing stuff, not killing inanimate objects.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we do need to kill... Oh. Defeat enemies before you're overrun. Not sure what it means to be overrun. Not sure if there's a timer. Or what. That hasn't been explained. Yeah, there's too many barrels. I don't want to kill 500 barrels per run. Like having the occasional one to give you like, you know, a bit of resource or whatever, but it's too many barrels. So this might be the boss that we die to, and if I'm going to be honest, I will probably die to it. I feel so squishy. Okay, this is different. This isn't the boss that shot something at me off. I hope. Oh my goodness. It's gonna have to do a lot of running around, I guess. Not sure why that one isn't attacking. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any way apart from eating the food that we've already had eaten to actually recover our lives if we're playing solo on a damaged character. Like I would expect, I think if there were fewer barrels and then a chance on those barrels to contain like a piece of food or a bit of healing, I think would be quite nice. We're just gonna have to play ultra careful. Okay. At least that guy didn't get to me. Also strangely feel like this game's like missing out on like experience. I don't know if that would fit the game design at all, but feels a little bit RPG-esque without getting experience for your character as you're going through these runs. And then I would like to be having more roguelite options in a roguelike as well. We haven't really had that many card choices. Now we do. Healing deals 500% of the effective... well, we're not doing any healing, so... yeah, basic attacks mark a target for 3 seconds. All damage against marked targets is increased by 3%. I think we'll just take the basic attack damage. But considering this game is a roguelike, it doesn't really feel like there's enough of the choices. Like here, for example, I mean, it's been very linear so far. There's only been... okay, now there's 2 alt options. I feel like these two need to be potentially closer together. I feel like I could have easily have missed one of these. I don't feel like I need any more gold. We'll go for this kind of spanner upgrade in hopes that we get healing. More barrels. So we need to defeat them before we're overrun. Let's try not to be overrun then. Just fired my fireball into... oh, there's a mob here that I couldn't see. Might have to pop my ultimate at some point. We could end up being a bit of trouble. I don't know why my fireball went over there. Oh, how is that one not dead? Just on like 1 HP? Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty overwhelmed here, I guess. Pretty shit soon. I guess this is what they mean by overwhelmed. I don't really feel like I'm doing a massive amount of damage and nearly died on that last hit received there. Okay, though this is a bit better in terms of getting a few more options, but none of them seem super exciting. The diamond cells, that's not going to help me. I'm 1 hit away from dead. For every 200 gold you currently hold, gain 3% to base skill power. I guess we'll take that because we don't have any overheat shield for the last card either. So I feel like we're probably going to die in the next room. So I think these might be like card upgrades, or they might try and give you card upgrades. But like if we do the purple fist thing, we're going to probably die. I'm on 2 HP, so any whisper into my ear will decimate my character. Attack the tower while it is vulnerable. Well, apparently it's not vulnerable and the tower shoots and I'm stuck in some barrels. My character is focusing on attacking barrels rather than the actual mobs. I'm putting myself in a bit of a tight corner here. And I died to something. I didn't even see what I died to. I'm assuming it was something ranged. Right, we got some currency things to upgrade. I feel like the death is quite anticlimactic as well. Suddenly you died and then, I don't know, I didn't really get to see. Would it be nice to maybe like see what killed me, or the game tells me what I died to, or something like that? We'll return to the hub here and see if we can spend some of this currency. I feel like in bare bones-esque, I mean, this is only a demo. I feel like in terms of a roguelike itself, I feel like it's on an okay track. I feel like the game probably is more designed for more co-op people. But how much of a market is there really for playing a roguelike with multiple people? Like, I personally, whenever I want to play a roguelike, it's, you know, I've got like an hour to myself and it's kind of just like a random hour and I just like, you know, just want to go in and just play my game, and then, you know, when the run's done, that's it, I'm done. That's like my free time over and I'm done. Whereas I don't want to tie myself down to other people, and I feel like the solo, it's nice they've added a solo mode, and it seems like they probably have helped balance it to solo mode. I'd assume that the health of the monsters would increase in the other modes. But the downside of solo mode is that the game does feel like it is based around that kind of triangle of tank, healer, DPS. So playing one of those, you're always going to miss out on the other two, which is going to make the runs not as potentially enjoyable. I don't know if there's any more customization. I mean, I know you can change the heroes as you go through, but I almost feel like having a hero where you don't really start out with much and then you acquire abilities as you go through the run is more fun, rather than pre-selecting what character that you're going to be going into at first. I'm thinking of games like, you know, something random like Enter the Gungeon or something, where it's like, you know, you have a character that has, you know, you can have a character potentially that, you know, influences the runs of what that's going to be happening, but not like fully definiting what is happening in the run from the very get-go. I want to be able to pick up items that, you know, I can pick and choose as we go through, which technically would give you like different abilities and things, rather than saying, yep, you're hard locked into these 4 abilities and that's what you're going to have to play with for the entirety of the run for how long the run is. I'd rather go in and it be a bit more randomized than that, saying like, you know, okay, this you can choose between, you know, this damaging thing or this healing thing, and then this other thing could synergize with your other damaging thing or with your other healing thing, and then having combos like that is more interesting to me, rather than like just already having it kind of predetermined of what you're kind of wanting to do straight away from the get-go. But I know it's early days yet, but that's like kind of my opinion on the matter. I feel like these text chats between the NPCs are long, and they're trying to get in like a little bit of character and lore in with the characters, I think, as well, but for me it doesn't really feel fantastic. And it also upsets me in a way, because in the old Evercore Heroes game, I think this is she called Clementine. Yeah, she's called Clementine, and she was like a really unique kind of like difficult to use character. And all of these characters here that you see around, I don't know if they'll eventually implement them as actual playable characters, but they used to be, these ones used to be playable characters, and then just to see them used as like placeholder NPCs that have some vague dialogue in the town, it does upset me a little bit. That's kind of what's happened to those kind of characters. So it seems here like you can upgrade, get different food buffs and stuff from when I was having to use the food buffs to keep my character alive in the previous run. You need to acquire honey, peppers, and garlic for a variety of different buffs, but it seems like you have to choose which kind of buffs you have. They're all not healing as well. It seems that some of them had stun properties as well. Let me check this permanent buff augmenting thing. So now we have a key and we have 20. So we recover 2 HP every time we enter a new room. So we might as well unlock that since we can unlock it. But what I will say though is that 2 HP per room is pretty low. But if you acquire more of those gems, you're going to be able to upgrade it so you heal even more every time you enter a new room. Also, like, once again, I know it's like early days, but that first level, rerunning that, especially like the same portion of that level 3-4 more times, maybe even a bunch more times, so that you can get unlock, you know, so you can heal a little bit more every time you enter a new room. The gameplay loop at the moment isn't significantly fun enough for you to make me want to go, yeah, I want to do that room, those series of rooms another 5-6 more times to make my character stronger. The combat, the combat's is a weird one. So they've got monsters there that seem to fit the theme of the environment. You have chilling effects that are happening there. You're entering into a winter kind of cave, so you're expecting to come across, like, you know, the ice elementals and things that kind of freeze you and things like that. And there seem to be like some like rocky kind of golems there, which would fit the aesthetic of, like, you know, a stony mountainous kind of cavern. Apart from seeing that kind of like one mini boss, which I'm not really sure how or why we ended up seeing that mini boss, the mob variants seemed kind of odd. None of the encounters really felt like fun going into. Like, if you're playing like a melee, for example, and then that guy spinning around, you're just having to wait like 3-4 seconds to him to finish spinning, then you can attack. And if you don't wait for that, then you get ridiculously punished with the whirlwind. It takes away like half your HP. So I get that's like an introduction to some of the mobs and stuff, but I also felt like some of the combat of the mobs were, especially like an early stage of a run, pretty unfair. I don't know if they scale as it goes forward, but I felt like the amount of damage isn't necessarily being scaled from, like, you know, the first room. You know, if you get hit, yeah, you're going to take some health damage, and ideally that's not nice, but it's not going to ridiculously punish you for the fact that, you know, you've taken a bit of damage here. That's now going to ridiculously punish you for the entirety of the run, and then almost to the point where it feels like you need to restart it. So I'm not sure if there is any scaling or going through there, but, you know, if you're a new player playing the roguelike and then you start, like, you lose 50% of your HP, and there's a bit of an over exaggeration here, but if you lose 50% of your HP after taking like one hit, and then you get hit twice, and, like, say, you know, I like to think that I'm not a bad gamer, but, like, I can imagine someone that is, you know, new to games, or, you know, experiment, like, not particularly, you know, the most fantastic gamer in the world. I could easily see people getting stuck on the very first couple of rooms there, just because you have to be very active on dodging very early on, like having to dodge stuff. The attack, the wind-ups of the things, some of them aren't great as well. So, and if you aren't actively dodging, you take a lot of damage early on. So, like, the punishment window, it's not like Elden Ring difficulty or anything like that, but it's like for a brand new kind of gamer or a person that isn't very good at video games, I feel like you would get demoralized pretty quickly taking excessive amount of damages in the very early rooms and then not being able to progress and then get these upgrades. Then encourages you to play more and make your characters feel stronger, because you're, like, you know, healing in more rooms, or apparently there's like a double dash here. Apparently if you die you get to revive, but it seems like you need a lot of keys for that and all those kind of like little goodies there. Feels like you wouldn't really, it would take you a ridiculously long time to get any of those upgrades with the way that that system is kind of like implemented. I could just be talking ass. And then the other thing also is the barrels. I feel like the barrels, because it feels like if you don't kill the barrels, you're going to be missing out gold. I didn't even get to come across a shop yet, so I don't even know what I'm missing out on. Don't even know if there is a shop at all. There was that one buff where it's like if you were holding on to X amount of gold, your character is stronger. Yeah, the fact that I didn't get to see a shop in either playthrough is particularly strange in a roguelike. I feel like you'd see a shop by then in a run, especially if they're offering you like gold from barrels, and giving you those rooms where it's like try and kill as much as you can to get gold. You would have thought that either there would be like a pop-up shop next to one of the altars to give you like, you know, a couple of offerings, whether it's, hey, here's some healing to heal yourself back up because, you know, you're playing solo and you don't have a healer. Spend 100 gold to get some of your food back or something like that, right? Or a dedicated shop room, which is what some rogues likes have, where it's like, you know, you one of the altars would be like a shop, and then you would go in and buy whatever stuff and then move on. I'm surprised I didn't come across that. Maybe I was just very unlucky and didn't see that, but yeah. And then once again, it's very early stages. I think graphically wise, I think the game looks decent actually. I think in terms of like the colors and the aesthetic from what I've seen so far, I think it looks relatively pleasing to the eye. It kind of looks like I don't want to say like World of Warcraft little s, but it's like a shader. Reminds me of like a bit more like a cross between like WoW and Borderlands in terms of the art style. I quite like it actually. I think the art's good. I think the sound though needs a lot of work. I think the sound effects of the mobs, I think the music needs a lot of work to really bring the user into the world itself. I didn't like going into that level and getting whacked with my ears by those two loud dong chime noises. I think there's a lot of work that needs to get into in terms of the actual sound of the game and how that goes, but I guess that is something they can potentially worry a bit more down the line. And also I'm not overly fond of these little character interactions around the hub. I know they're trying to make it a little bit more lively feel, and I think it might have been like Endless Dungeon that I played, where they tried to have this like hub style here, equivalent of having like a few NPCs around that you can talk to and things like that, but overall I'm not a massive fan of it. I think it just adds like screen clutter. I don't really know how many people care about lore when they're playing a roguelike. I'm sure there's a percentage of people, you know, that care about maybe some sort of like general over kind of, you know, there are bad guys, so you need to go kill the bad guys because otherwise they bring the end of the world. I think people like to have that kind of arc, at least knowingly in the background, but like there's a lot of visual clutter here. I hate the fact that those diamonds or the text dialogue are like bobbing up and down. And the fact that we've already spoken to some of these characters, they say the same dialogue, but those dialogues are still going up and down. Because like those kind of notifications are like, click me, it's like urgent kind of thing, but it's not at all, and it's just really annoying. It's just distracting. It's just a visual clutter that doesn't need to be there. Haven't had time on these target dummies though. It's nice that they've got these in. I guess if you're waiting for your friends to go on, or if you want to try a character out before doing your run, I think that's kind of like a nice little touch. But do these not respawn? I hope these respawn. That would be quite fun if they don't. Maybe if we kill this last one, they will respawn. Yeah, just like another like random little thing. You'd think, you know, you have training dummies so you can test stuff out and see the numbers out and do test out maybe little combos or something, but you gotta make your training dummies not die if they reach 0. At least, at the very least, try and make them respawn. I feel like, I guess it's like normal and standard development. You know, it's a demo at the end of the day, but it does feel like it almost feels like it should be, we shouldn't be seeing this kind of stuff. Like it feels like, you know, it just takes one person to go, oh yeah, the training dummies do that. I'm sure it'd only take like 5 minutes of code or something. I'm not a developer, so I don't know, but I'm sure it'd take a very, you know, if you to say like, you know, put infinite health on the target dummies so they don't die, is something that that probably doesn't take a huge amount of time or effort, but is missed here, and it just feels like the lick of paint that is needed to kind of like make it feel like a quality polished game is a long way to kind of go. But anyway, that's my kind of review on the Evercore Heroes Ascension kind of demo. As I said, it's demo, it's not even early access right now. I will say I was one of the, when Evercore Heroes got released, well I say released, when they allowed early access and spending money on the game, and I was one of the people that spent like money on the highest package. I know they allowed people to get refunds potentially. I think they've now stopped that, so you can't get a refund from that anymore for a game that doesn't exist anymore. But there isn't really, there was like pre-order bonuses, like I can't remember even what they were, but I was mainly doing it to support the developers. But for those people that have bought the big packages, from what I can see at the moment, there is nothing, no benefit to have been given that money over towards this next iteration of the game. Be interesting to see if they do. It would be nice to get, you know, some value of the money. I think it was something like £90 that I gave them. I really did like the aspect of the competitive kind of PvE thing that they had going on, but they scrapped it. I hope this does better for them. I wish them all the best. And then maybe once this game is fleshed out a little bit, maybe we can maybe try some co-op or something like that. But that's my kind of evaluation, first impressions of the Evercore Heroes Ascension demo. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and see you for another video soon. Bye bye.